Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main stage. This is StayWavyTV Boxing, where the waves hit harder and every matchup is a knockout. Don't forget to subscribe and keep the bell ringing.
Terence Crawford is the biggest hypocrite in boxing history, man. Do you guys remember when Terence Buck Crawford was complaining about not getting fights back in the day? Remember when he tried to fight Manny Pacquiao and that didn't happen? He tried to fight Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman when they were still doing their thing at 147, and that didn't happen. And even the infamous fight with him and Errol the True Spence Jr., remember, that fight, we didn't get that fight when we wanted it. We got that fight like 3 or 4 years later, too late. You know what I'm saying? And the only reason why that fight was made is because of Errol the True Spence Jr. He made that fight happen, bro. Errol Spence had the bigger pay-per-view numbers. He had the better resume at the time. The only thing that Terence Buck Crawford could say to even argue for a 50-50 fight is the fact that he was undisputed. You know what I'm saying? He was already undisputed at 140, you know what I'm saying? So it might have been 135 as well, I don't remember, but I know he undisputed 140, right? So with that being said, now that Terence Buck Crawford is the face of boxing, right? He beat Canelo Alvarez, who's the face of boxing, which makes him the face of boxing, right? Now that he's the face of boxing, Jaron Boots Ennis, you know, who's pretty much in the same position, because remember, Jaron Boots Ennis, while he was at 147 back in 2023, he was Terence Buck Crawford's mandatory for one of Terence Crawford's belts at 147. And what did Terence Buck Crawford do? He dropped the belt. Instead of fighting his mandatory Boots, he dropped the belt, which means that he ducked Jaron Boots Ennis. And not only that, Terence Crawford has said in multiple interviews that he has no interest in fighting Jaron Boots Ennis. Why? Because he feels like it's too risky, and that he says the risk is not worth the reward. He feels like Jaron Boots Ennis isn't a big name in the sport. He feels like it's not a big payday fight for him, which is basically all he really cares about is big paydays now, you know what I'm saying? And he just feels like the chances of him losing are too high. You understand what I'm saying? Now, Terence Buck Crawford has been doing a lot of lying, okay? He keeps saying in interviews that Jaron Boots Ennis had the chance to fight Terence Crawford back in the day, and Jaron Boots Ennis chose not to fight him. Now, there's no proof of that, okay? There is zero proof at any point that Jaron Boots Ennis had the opportunity to fight Terence Buck Crawford and it didn't happen. Jaron Boots Ennis actually denied this, okay? It's a lie. Let's just call it what it is. It's a lie, okay? Jaron Boots Ennis called out Errol Spence at 147. Errol Spence said he had no interest in fighting Jaron Boots Ennis. He called out Keith Thurman at 147. Keith Thurman had no interest. He called out Jaron Boots Ennis, you know what I'm saying, Jaron Boots Ennis became Terence Crawford's mandatory. Terence Crawford dropped the belt, end up going up to 154 to fight Israel Majimov. Okay? So let's just call it what it is, man. All of the things that Terence Crawford was complaining about, now he's doing the same thing, bro. So all the Terence Crawford fans out there, all of y'all that was saying that Canelo Alvarez was ducking and he was picking and choosing opponents, and you know, he was fighting the Edgar Bolognas of the world and the Jaime Munguias. He kept giving you guys fights that you didn't want to see. Well, now your favorite fighter, Terence Crawford, is doing the same thing, because we're hearing that he's possibly going to fight the winner of Janibek versus Israelandi Lara. Who the fuck wants to see Terence Buck Crawford versus Janibek or Lara? Nobody wants to see that shit. The biggest fight for Terence Buck Crawford right now is Jaron Boots Ennis, period. Okay? And listen, Terence Crawford will have the advantage because we know Terence Crawford is not coming back down to 154, which is the weight class that Jaron Ennis just had his debut in. So if this fight was to happen, it would either happen at 160 or it'll happen at 168. Most likely 160, because Terence Crawford has indicated that he is possibly interested in moving down to 160, right? Eddie Hearn, who was the promoter for Jaron Boots Ennis, has said that they're willing to move up to 160 or even 168 to make this fight happen, because Jaron Boots Ennis is a big dude. We all seen the pictures of Jaron Boots Ennis when he was sparring Canelo Alvarez. He was way bigger than Canelo Alvarez, okay? By the time Jaron Boots Ennis' career is over, I think he's going to finish his career at 168, possibly 175. I'm not too sure about that. We got to see how he looks. We got to see how dominant he is whenever he does get the 168, right? So my whole thing is this, right? Why is Terence Buck Crawford so afraid to fight Jaron Boots Ennis? I believe it's because he thinks he's going to lose, okay? Jaron Boots Ennis, very skilled fighter. He can switch stances, has a great jab, great uppercut, punches very hard. This dude is a big power puncher, right? When he wants to, he has some of the best boxing, some of the best defense in boxing when he wants to. Now, we have seen fights where Jaron Boots Ennis does get hit a lot, right? Obviously, the 2 fights that he had with Karen, he got hit a lot in both of those fights. Still dominated the fight. Still won the fight by unanimous decision. And I keep telling you guys, right? To all of the people that love to bring up the Karen fight, right? You guys should be happy that Jaron Boots Ennis was getting hit so much in those fights because he showed you that he has a chin. He didn't get dropped in any of those fights. He has a chin, right? And we could bring up Terence Crawford's fight against Israel Majimov. He was getting hit from round 1 to round 12 the entire fight. One of his eyes was almost closed up, okay? Many people like myself think that Terence Buck Crawford lost to Israel Majimov. As a matter of fact, Virgil Ortiz had a better decisive win against Israel Majimov, than Terence Crawford did. You know what I'm saying? He dominated Majimov. Majimov gave Terence Buck Crawford a lot of problems, okay? So you guys want to keep bringing up the Karen fights? Okay, I'll bring up the Gamboa fight where Bud got rocked, and I'll bring up the Israel Majimov fight. You know what I'm saying? I'll do that. If you guys want to bring up shit like that, I could do that too, okay? Now, this is the biggest fight in boxing, y'all. Boots versus Bud is the biggest fight in boxing. You got 2 slick black, I said slick back, that's crazy, no Diddy. You got 2 slick black fighters that are Americans, African Americans, you know what I'm saying, that are both very dangerous fighters. You understand what I'm saying? You got one fighter who's in his late 20s. You got another fighter who's pushing 40, right? 38 years old, you know what I'm saying? This fight is basically Terence Buck Crawford giving Jaron Boots Ennis the opportunity to grab the torch, right? Because let's be honest, right? Terence Crawford is about to retire. There's a chance that he may never fight again. After that Canelo fight, there's a chance that Bud is just going to walk away from the sport, right? And that's what I think is going to happen. But why not give the young nigga an opportunity to snatch the torch from you, snatch the belts from you, snatch that face of boxing card from you? You understand what I'm saying? Why not give him the opportunity? Because Errol Spence gave you the opportunity when Al Heyman was telling Errol Spence to fight Keith Thurman, and they basically said, look, if Bud doesn't want to take the 60-40 split, then we're not going to fight him. Errol Spence made that fight happen for the boxing fans, bro. Okay, he gave Terence Crawford the opportunity, and he took advantage of it, as he should, right? Canelo Alvarez. What did Terence Crawford do to earn a fight with Canelo Alvarez at 168? What did he do? What did he do? He only had one fight at 154. You know what I'm saying? What did he do? Some people may bring up the Errol Spence fight. Okay, I'll give you that. But we got to take into account that Errol Spence almost died in a car crash, right? Did he come back and fight Danny Garcia and Ugas and dominate him? Yes, he did. But at the end of the day, bro, the fight would have been much closer if Errol Spence didn't get into that car. I think everybody would agree with that, right? Plus, Errol Spence looked like he was on a weed edible before he walked out to the fight. We all seen Errol Spence in that locker room before he walked out to the fight where his eyes were bloodshot red, right? And then, after the fight, Errol Spence had to get surgery on his eye again, right? So he probably had an injury during the fight, okay? So, okay, Terence Buck Crawford, you fought Errol Spence. That was at 147. You move up to 154 to fight a guy who only had 12 or 13 professional fights, Israel Majimov, who happened to have a belt. I don't think that you did enough to earn a Canelo Alvarez fight, in my opinion. But Canelo Alvarez gave you the opportunity because Turkey Al-Sheikh gave him the bag, right? So you got 2 fighters that didn't have to fight you, that gave you the opportunity to fight them, which ended up elevating your boxing career. So why can't you do the same for Jaron Boots Ennis? Why can't you do the same for Jaron Boots Ennis, bro? If you fight Jaron Boots Ennis and beat him, just retire. There's nothing else to do. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're going to move up to 175 and fight Dimitri Bivol, right? Which is highly unlikely. Unless you're going to go fight Dimitri Bivol and then fight David Benavidez. We all know that's not going to happen, bro. You know, there is a possibility that he would fight Bivol, but, you know, I think if Terence Crawford fights again, bruh, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think at this point, he's looking for another big money fight. But there is no big money fight that's going to get you the same amount of money you made when you fought Canelo. So you might as well fight Boots, bruh. Give the fans what they want to see. This is why boxing is no longer one of the most popular sports in the world, bruh. Turki Al-Sheikh has helped the sport grow. He is growing boxing and helping boxing become one of the most popular sports in America again, right, in the world again. But at the end of the day, bro, the reason why so many people stop watching boxing is because we don't get the fights when we want them. We didn't get Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao when we wanted it. We didn't get Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence when we wanted it. You understand what I'm saying? Let's get this fight. The fans want the fight. Just give the fans what they want, bruh. Fight Jaron Boots Ennis at 160 or 168, bruh. And then if you want to retire, bruh, retire. But until then, bruh, Terence Buck Crawford is scared of Jaron Boots Ennis. I think Jaron Boots Ennis would knock out Terence Buck Crawford. And I think Terence Crawford knows that. I think that's why he's so scared to fight him. And to all of the Reggie Butt fans out there, if y'all disagree with me, then tell your favorite fighter to step in the ring with Boots. Until then, that nigga's scared. With that being said, man, this your boy Wavy, StayWavyTV. Make sure y'all subscribe, thumbs up the video, leave comments. I already know the butt tenders and the Reggie Butt fan. I already know they're gonna be in the comment section, butt hurt. I don't give a fuck, my nigga. As long as your fighter does not fight Boots, that nigga's scared, bro. And there's nothing that you can say in the comment section to change my mind. That nigga is terrified of Jaron Boots Ennis. It's your boy Wavy. I'm out.
Yo, what's up? It's Kobe. I'm just relaxing at home, checking out StayWavyTV. Y'all already know #1 out here. Keep pushing, keep inspiring. Salute to the whole Wavy family. Stay wavy.